This is the Apocryphal Daniel. And Section 3, Bel and the Dragon. Chapter 14. King Astyages was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus the Persian received his kingdom. Daniel lived with the king and was honored above all his friends. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Bel, and every day 12 great measures of fine flour, 40 sheep, and 6 firkins of wine were spent on him. And the king honored it and went daily to worship it. But Daniel worshipped his own God. The king said to him, "Why do you not worship Bel?" He said, "Because I may not honor idols made with hands, but only the living God, who has created the sky and the earth and has sovereignty over all flesh." Then the king said to him, "Do you not think that Bel is a living God? Do you not see how much he eats and drinks every day?" And Daniel laughed and said, "O king, do not be deceived, for this is just clay inside and brass outside, and never ate or drank anything." So the king was angry and called for his priests and said to them, "If you do not tell me who is this who devours these expenses, you will die. But if you can show me that Bel devours them, then Daniel will die, for he has spoken blasphemy against Bel." Then Daniel said to the king, "Let it be according to your word." Now there were 70 priests of Bel, besides their wives and children. The king went with Daniel into Bel's temple. So Bel's priests said, "Behold, we will leave you, but you, O king, set out the meat and mix the wine and set it out, and shut the door securely and seal it with your own signet. When you come in the morning, if you do not find that Bel has eaten everything, we will suffer death, or else Daniel, who speaks falsely against us." They were not concerned, for under the table they had made a secret entrance, whereby they entered it continually and consumed those things. It happened, when they had gone out, the king set the meat before Bel. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and they scattered them all over the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then they went out, shut the door, sealed it with the king's signet, and so departed. Now in the night, the priests came with their wives and children, as they usually did, and ate and drank it all. In the morning, the king arose, and Daniel with him. The king said, "Daniel, are the seals whole?" He said, "Yes, O king, they are whole." And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked at the table and cried with a loud voice, "You are great, O Bel! With you there is no deceit at all." Then Daniel laughed and held the king that he should not go in, and said, "Behold now the pavement, and mark well whose footsteps these are." The king said, "I see the footsteps of men, women, and children." Then the king was angry and took the priests and their wives and children, who showed him the secret doors where they came in, and consumed the things that were on the table. Therefore the king killed them and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, who overthrew him and his temple. In that same place there was a great dragon, which the people of Babylon worshipped. The king said to Daniel, "Will you also slay this? Will you also say that this is of brass? Behold, he lives, eats, and drinks. You cannot say he is no living God. Therefore worship him." Then Daniel said, "I will worship my God, for he is a living God. But allow me, O king, and I will kill this dragon without a sword or staff." The king said, "I allow you." Then Daniel took pitch, fat, and hair, and melted them together, and made lumps of them. And he put these in the dragon's mouth. So the dragon ate and burst apart. Daniel said, "Behold, these are the gods you all worship." When the people of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king, saying, "The king has become a Jew. He has pulled down Bel, slain the dragon, and put the priests to the sword." So they came to the king, and they said, "Deliver Daniel to us, or else we will destroy you and your house." Now when the king saw that they trapped him, being constrained, the king delivered Daniel to them. They cast him to the lion's den. And then they had been giving them 2 carcasses and 2 sheep every day, which then were not given to them, intending that they would devour Daniel. Now there was in Jewry a prophet, Habakkuk, who had made stew and had broken bread into a bowl. And he was going into the field to bring it to the reapers. But the messenger of God said to Habakkuk, "Go carry the dinner that you have into Babylon, to Daniel in the lion's den." Habakkuk said, "I never saw Babylon. I do not know where the den is." Then the messenger of God took him by the crown and lifted him by the hair of his head, and with the blast of his breath sent him in Babylon over the den. Habakkuk cried, saying, "Oh, Daniel, take the dinner which God has sent you." Daniel said, "You have remembered me, O God. You have not forsaken those who love you." So Daniel arose and ate, and the messenger of God immediately set Habakkuk in his own place again. On the 7th day, the king came and mourned for Daniel. When he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting. The king cried with a loud voice, saying, "Great you are, O God of Daniel, and there is no other besides you." So he drew him out and cast those that were the cause of his destruction into the den, and they were devoured in a moment before his face. Apocryphal Daniel. This book was removed from our Bible. And this explanation of him going to the lion's den to me is kind of more reasonable than the story that they wanted to trap Daniel. They had the king make the resolution that everybody was supposed to bow and worship at a certain time of day, and they knew Daniel wouldn't, and they trapped him. So that's in our Daniel, in the book of Daniel. Anyway, so that was that. Great story. I loved it. He blew up their dragon. They had a dragon, and he blew it up. Boop.